My name is Andrew Russell, and today we are carrying on with our exploration through the Complex One user manual. And today we're going to be looking at the comb delay module. And this is the second attempt at recording because, like a silly person, it's been a little while since I've done a stream, and I totally forgot I've got push to talk on. So I spent a lot of time talking to a muted microphone, like a audio professional that I am. So anyway, let's carry on. So one moment while I fix up my stream manager. Okay, and we'll bring back you and oh Chrome, why must you be terrible? Okay. Alright, everything appears to be working just fine, so we'll carry on. We are going to look at the comb delay module today. So the comb delay module is a very flexible comb filter. Comb filters are basically very short delays with adjustable feedback. And so I made a comb delay accidentally once. Well, not so much me, but I forgot to properly handle latency compensation. And so if you were to get yourself a double dry wet, which is one of my products that you can purchase on the Reason Store, and you were to connect a loop from send to return, as you often do through an effect, that introduces 64 samples of latency. I knew this, and I kind of forgot about it when designing the device. So the good news is that the new version of double dry wet, version 2.0, will be available very shortly, probably sometime next week. It's just got to go through final testing on my end and then send it off to the Reason people for testing and publication on their end and new store page and stuff. But all the software's done, and the new design for the back panel looks really great, and it has CV inputs now. And let me tell you, CV inputs are just amazing on this device. Being able to mix between two signals based on a CV, like, it sounds like such a simple thing, but it gives you like this really amazing palette of effects that you can do if you drive it off a CV signal that's on something useful like an LFO or like an ADSR or something. You get some great sounds. So I'm excited about. I'm more excited about that than the minor bug fix. It's interesting when you have a bug fix. It's not so much there's software bugs when you have a bug in just the programming, and then there's like bugs when you have a bug in the design. It's like, this is a design bug. It's like, whoops, I forgot something when I was designing it. Anyway, let's carry on with the complex one. So a comb filter can be used for generating resonating peaks at certain frequency intervals. Comb filters are used in various signal processing devices like flangers, and produce a characteristic swooshing sound when the frequency is swept. I would sort of assume that anything would produce a swooshing sound when the frequency is swept, but I suppose it's a characteristic one. The comb delay module in Complex One also has pitch control, which makes it possible to generate pitch delays to achieve physical modeling type sounds. So we're talking flutes and stuff, I think. The comb delay can also be forced to self-oscillate, so you don't even have to use you don't even need to have an input signal. Okay. So, and then here we go. The figure is basically, all right, so a comb filter looks like this. As you see, the peaks get closer and closer together as the frequency increases. And actually, for a digital signal, I guess it's probably more like the peaks get further apart. I'd have to really think about that. Anyway, here's how this works. So you've got the input signal goes to a gain, so it just gets louder and softer. I suppose that's important for whether how you're driving the thing. Yeah. I guess if you've got to put a gain somewhere. And then what do? We send it through a delay, and we output it after the delay. We also take the delay signal and feed it back in. So, and the feed comes through a low pass filter with a resonant peak and a frequency and a feedback. So I guess that's just a secondary gain. Yeah, and it is interesting that it does self-oscillate. So let's start fiddling with it. So input. Here's where you route audio input into the shaper module. So what we're going to do is, because this is a filter of sorts, we're going to start with white noise because that's the sort of most filterable of noises. So let's start with that, and we'll run the output over here and the gate signal. So while at it, what have we got? We've got the pitch bend. We're going to put that into. So we're going to take the input from there and stick it onto pitch. What does this do? Comb pitch to frequency off. We might fiddle with that later. Okay. Pitch modulation allows for pitch control of the comb filter. You could, for example, patch the key output of the performance section here to control the pitch from your keyboard, which is exactly what we've done. Click the pitch modulation display and select a modulation source from the pop-up menu. Oh, that's just saying, how do we do that? You do that. I like the cables much better. Attenuate the modulation amount with the attenuation knob. Okay, that's that thing. And click the red code to route pitch modulation also to the filter frequency parameter. Makes it possible to control the pitch. Okay, so that's... Alright, so that just lets you filter track your keyboard. It's interesting that that's a button. It's like one of, two buttons in this whole device? 1, 2. It's interesting that this is not an attenuator, but alright. Let's give this a little play and see how it sounds. Something has gone horribly wrong because it doesn't sound very filtered at all, does it? Why is that? Ah, dry wet. Yes, must not forget about that. Okay, so that's the basic setup for something that we want tuned at least. Okay, so filter frequency and frequency modulation. So let's start by just driving the filter frequency off of the pitch because that'll then lock the filter here. Actually, is the filter actually doing anything? No, so we'll bring it down and then we'll try it. And you can sort of see that that filter is, it is sort of pitched in a sense, like it sounds like it has a pitch. I don't know how to explain it better than that. So I can see why you want to lock that in there. And now listening to it, it's like, okay, that's why it's a button. It's because the button is the thing that you want. Okay, what else can we do here? Maybe if we drive this off an LFO. What does this sound like? Very interesting that the filter frequency is measured in semitones. I wish this little sequencer down here had a randomize button. It's like, you know, I don't want to think about what the thing should be. I just want you to come up with it. Anyway, let's see what this sounds like. That sounds horrendous, but we're going to keep going with it because, well, we are. Now that I've finished my tea, I don't need my other hand so much to hit the button. I think that's really what's going on here. Is it's like, how many hands do we have? Not enough. Because I also have to hit push to talk. Maybe I should move that to the mouse at some point. That would be a clever idea for clever people. Okay, let's see. Peak and peak modulation. When you change the peak value after the filter, when you change the peak value, the filter characteristic also changes from a low pass filter at a low peak value to peak filter at a high peak value. Okay. All right. Well, let's give that a go. Ooh, that's got a lot of high-pitched nonsense in there, but feedback modulation, that's feedback from the filter. What does that connect into? So that's that feedback there. Okay, so if we remove the feedback entirely, it ceases to be a comb filter. And if we add a lot of it, it will self-oscillate, which obviously we don't need at the moment because we've got an input signal. Let's turn that knob and see what it does. Alright, that sounds appalling because it's got so much high-pitched stuff in it. We're going to stick a low-pass filter and it's that bad. What a horrendous noise we have created once more. And that's it. That's the entirety of the comb filter. What I have made here does not sound great. Let's be honest. Let's be real honest about that. What can we do to improve matters? It's self-oscillating. What have we done? That's why it's got the gain knob for when you self-oscillate that sucker. Alright, what do we want to do with this now? Maybe, what do you think? Running it through the shaper is not going to improve our high end, which is full of just spiky, loud nonsense, and we're already filtering it fairly aggressively. Meaning if I turn that down, turn that off for now. Alright, this is always a good challenge. It's like, alright, this sounds like trash. How can we make it sound like less trash? Keep going. I mean, that really doesn't achieve much, does it? Let's just go through that. So something has gone horribly wrong because we're constantly getting resynced, are we? What else to do with this awful signal? We could take out some of the sustain. Need more LFOs. Okay, so the sort of the problem I'm having here is I'm running like what has become the left channel through a filter, and it's like, well, I need to add a little bit of high end, but I can't add too much high end because it would, it would not match what's coming through here, because obviously you don't want a whole lot of high end on like one side and not the other. So really I should be running it all through a filter, but can I be bothered to mix it in the mix section? No, I can't. All right, we'll start with the stereo image is probably appalling. He says, and it's like, wait a second, why is there no stereo separation at all? I thought I heard some. Is this routed wrong? Huh. Why is it? I swore I added some. Is this not having an effect? Am I hearing things? Wow, it's really subtle. I thought it was more serious than that. Okay, let's just make it a mono instrument, frankly. Too hard otherwise. done. We're not going to start on the LPGs until later. I think the LPGs will become very handy. What else can we do? I think we're going to call this one done. So let's add a couple more effects in and just have a little listen. This does seem like a job for PVC, doesn't it? It's not really where I want to go, but it kind of makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Reset. Not vinyl. Yeah, here we go. This is like the radio play Space Invaders sort of situation. I love it. It's like very Doctor Who. Okay, I'm almost have to say like that's enough. Like that's what I want it to sound like. It's like it's a radio play. It's a the alien's about to come down and ask you if you know where your towel is. Now it's the Daleks, but no, we liked radio. I think there's nothing else I really want to do to it. I mean, I could stick a compressor in there. It looks like are we way above 0 dB? Are we clipping? Oh yeah, no, we are clipping. All right, let's run it through a maximizer just to stop it clipping. I mean, that'll do. I mean, I could run it through a very gentle, very gentle thing. The thing which does the thing. A distortion for, I think, maybe even with a bit of soft clip. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. What's the... Yeah, we've got a lot of high end. Maybe I should EQ it too, just a smidgen. I wish I could do this properly. I mean, I can bring up this. And you can watch on the channel strip as I edit it on the graphic. I haven't quite figured out how to do this in such a way that you can see me turning these knobs. Because I much prefer the graphic version of this, which I can't even show you what it looks like. But if you have a reason, you press F2 and bring up the spectrum analyzer view, and there's you can see what you're doing when you edit this thing. So I'll try and explain what I'm doing as we go. First of all, let's select complex 1, and so it's got a bit of stuff at like below 50 hertz. Let's have a listen, and then I'll stick in a high pass filter and turn that off. So it's probably really hard to hear depending on your speakers, but here it is with it on, and there it is with it off, and it's just got this clicky, like, 20 hertz to 0 hertz, just nonsense in the bottom, and it's like, it doesn't need it. Particularly after we went, all radio play on it. In fact, with this, I may even not need the maximizer. Let's take that off. We'll turn on the maximizer in the master bus. Let's turn that on now. None of these is the maximizer. The maximizer is on, actually. Why is it not going? Oh, we're bypassing it all. I just want the maximizer. The equalizer is doing nothing. The stereo imager is bypassed. The compressor is bypassed. Okay, so it is doing nothing. It is literally just the maximizer, which is exactly what we want. So we'll hide that away now. Okay, so that'll just clear up some of the stuff we've got going on that is way above where it needs to be. Okay, let's go back to the complex one, and so you can see over in this corner here what we're editing. So you'll notice I put on the high pass filter. We'll put a little bit of low pass on, just the tiniest amount, because there's stuff up around 20 kilohertz. So I don't want it. I don't think that's really the problem. I think, okay, and then we've got in between about 640 and 1.3 kilohertz. We just have it's loud. It's like piercing. So I'll just bring that down a bit, just gently. And then, this is the point where you want to... I'm clicking a thing you guys can't see. I feel really bad about that. I'll fiddle with OBS and try and get that working. But yeah, this is the point you sort of... It's like, oh, it's between those frequencies. It's like really obvious. But, once you figure out that, it's good to do it with your ears rather than visually. Once you've figured out what needs to be changed, to actually make the change listening to it. Okay, it's really going pop. There's a couple of ways we can deal with that. We can try and EQ out. It's like at about 2.5 kilohertz. We can stick another EQ into the system. Try and do it that way with an M class, and try and get rid of that. Because the thing about the M class is we can stick on parameter 1 and set the Q really. I think it's low. I can never remember. It's high. Yeah, high Q. Crank the Q, and then we can just notch out that one frequency at about 2.5. We'll engage the listening to try and hear it, but try and find it first. Alright, so now I'm kind of doing it graphically. It's like, am I killing those spikes without digging too deeply into it? I find that a little bit easier just to be sure, but you can hear the difference. So I've actually got two spikes next to each other. One's at about 2.5 and one is a bit less. And so I'm just going to say, I'll just use one and make the Q wider. Of course, any fine edit on this. Right, so this is it with it on. And it's far from perfect, and I'm not really going to spend this much time on it because there's another way to fix it too, I think. That's with it off. It actually sounds better with it off because it's not digging out a massive chunk of frequencies. I may have dug out the wrong thing too. All right. Anyway, we'll try and fix it the other way. I think with it off, it's a little less. Sorry, with it on, it's a little less harsh. But this is a big pop. I think this will fix it. I was wrong. It's really hard to carve things that are like melodic because it's like there's different frequencies you have to carve out. This is not working though. Oh, and we've still got an EQ in there too. I mean, I can just change that note. It's not that note. Help if I found the right note. Or just reduce the range. Alright, I think it's getting driven off the LFO. I don't know why it's suddenly going shrill all of a sudden, and I can't seem to nail it down. And I don't want to spend too much time on it. It's just the nature of the instrument being annoying. What to do. Alright, I've found the problem, and that is like I'm watching the spectrum in the other window, and it's like, okay, the LFO is not synchronized with the sequencer, which means that every time around here it's playing something different. The LFO is plugged into the filter frequency here and that shape as well. And so what's happening is that on certain plays through, this filter gets opened up really more than it maybe should, and so yeah, there's a massive like shrill sound. What can we do about that? So careful balancing that, because you kind of want the like whistling. And I'm really reticent to go back and change the, more or less working instrument. It's like debugging a computer program almost. Anyway, I think we're going to call that done at this point. So that's the freaky little radio play instrument that we've got. It's not bad. So let's close out the stream now. So thank you very much for watching. We'll save this one off stream. I don't think we'll save it as a patch. Actually, you know what? Before we finish, we will actually see what is it like as a playable instrument. Oh, I don't really want to route all of these things. What is it? All right, no, we're not going to see if it's a playable instrument because it's just too hard. All right. Okay, we're back to what it was, because it's like I don't have four wires. I'd have to remember where they go and plug them all into key one, and disaster. All right, so thank you so much for watching, everyone, and we will see you for the next stream.